So, all right, let's move to this now. Ooh, why do I always do this? Almost choking on my coffee. Let's move to the story now. So the decisions of parole boards are shrouded in mystery. Sometimes it seems there's no rhyme or even reason as to why parole is granted. In the latest decision, though, taken, which I'm referring to, is a man paroled twice and has been arrested for the murder now of a 6-year-old girl. Buntle Maishiani's decomposing body was found just 2 kilometers from her home. The suspect, Colin Tlongwane, was jailed back in 2008 for attempted murder, and he was released in 2013. Now, while on parole, he committed murder and was sentenced to 15 years and released again on parole. So let's find out how exactly this happens from Correctional Service spokesperson Singabakho Nxumalo. Singabakho, thank you so much for your time and good morning to you. I mean, I'm sure you can understand as the Correctional Services the outrage of South Africans and them questioning whether or not there is any rehabilitation or correctiveness within the facilities when a parolee comes out and commits a murder, or even a crime of this nature. Have they learned anything? Have they been rehabilitated? What's your comment on this particular case?
A very good morning, and thank you for the opportunity. I think the outrage is justifiable. The incident took all of us by surprise. We were quite shocked. But as a department, we needed to look into this quite closely to say what really happened there, because when it came to the fore that one of the suspects is a parolee, at the time, it was still a case of possible kidnapping because they couldn't locate the 6-year-old. As a department, we then had to work with other law enforcement agencies in trying to find this particular person at that time. Eventually, he was arrested. As soon as he's brought to us, that parole placement will have to be revoked, because it's quite clear why people are placed on parole. And we've said this many times, that parole placement is not the end of a sentence, but it's where someone is given an opportunity to continue the remainder of the sentence in the communities. But perhaps one picture that often is not told that for the past 3 years, we have recorded 99% success rates in terms of parolees and professionals complying with their parole placement. But you need to look at what is the population. South Africa has just over 60,000 parolees. So 1% of that, which goes back into the life of crime, will hurt us, even if it's just one incident.
Right.
But are we therefore saying the parole system is not working because of just 1%, or how best do we prevent this 1% from going back into the life of crime?
Yeah, I think when you put yourselves in the shoes of the parents and the families of those who have lost, again, loved ones due to that 1%, I can mention Buntle, now 6-year-old innocent child, and I'm sure you can imagine, Mr. Nxumalo, that family will believe that the parole system is not working. The pain, right? No. Yeah, they will still see the gaps there.
Yeah, no, the pain is there. Hence, as a department, we continuously conduct research and look at other means to say what drives people to go back into the life of crime, scientifically, and also even the type of support system that we make available and the role that society can play in that. We know that some of the parolees find it hard to adjust because they are just never accepted by their own families, by their own communities, but some will simply just go back into the life of crime. Hence, the type of monitoring that we provide is also crucial. We had to increase the resources that we deploy into our system of community corrections in an effort of ensuring that no one is unaccounted for, to prevent such cases.
Yeah.
But we've said to ourselves, even if it's 0.2%, that will hurt us, so we cannot sit back and relax. But there are measures that were put in place. Also, even the review of the parole system, there have been calls, we've listened to that, and we're saying perhaps the time has come, because the parole system that we're utilizing was introduced in 2004 on a system already developed in 1997. So as a department, we're looking to it, and that process is underway.
Right. I want to just get a bit technical here, and this is for the benefit of our viewers in understanding who qualifies for parole and how parole is granted. I'm reminded of the case of Sindisiwe Manqela. I mean, she was just released recently, right? And one of the media organizations I read went to the family, Flaba's family, to ask how they were feeling about this parole. The family said they had moved on with their lives, but then I can understand why immediately when, a parolee is granted shrouded parole, then immediately the family is thought of, whether or not they're coping. And then obviously the public may wonder, what qualifies for parole, because people are still hurting. That does not bring back the victim in a case of murder. So for understanding purposes, who qualifies for parole and how is it granted?
Okay. When an inmate is brought to us for admission, the process starts there. Because within 21 days, we need to draw what we call a correctional sentence plan to say, how do we intend going about correcting the wrong in this person, which is the offending behavior, and then start to rehabilitate this person or preparing this person for life post-incarceration. And then Section 73 of the Correctional Services Act says all inmates are eligible to be considered for parole placement. It doesn't say they must be placed, but eligible for consideration. What does it mean? So a person must have fulfilled all this is required, meaning that they've gone through the correctional sentence plan and conducted all those programs identified there. But it goes further than that to say, what are the assessment reports by specialists? Do they declare that this person is now ready to reintegrate back into society? But also look at restorative justice. We introduced victim-offender dialogue. It was in an effort to say, how do we begin to bring close the perpetrators of crime and the victims of crime? Because more often, crime happens between people who know each other or stay within the same locality. So it is therefore important that we start to create an enabling environment where the two can find one another, and then start to promote what you call a living in the cohesive society, and then deal with this phenomenon of crime which has really ravaged our country. So as a department, we create that conducive environment. We start bringing these parties together. We say it cannot be just a one-sitting or once-off activity. It's something that has to continue up until such time the two find one another. But as a department, we've always said corrections is a societal responsibility. We are fully aware of what is it that we need to do, but we always call upon communities to say, when a person is placed out on parole, you also have a role, one, to assist that person to adjust and start living a normal life, but two, to shout in case that person has started doing things which are against the law, so that we can take that person back before he does something which will harm, that particular community.
Well, I appreciate you speaking to us about this and bringing more clarity on how parole system works in the country. Thank you so much to Mr. Singabakho Nxumalo from the Correctional Services.